If it's not your teachers, your parents. If it's not your parents, it's your bullies. If it's not bullies, then it's maybe your elder sister or brother. And I think that growing up in Africa, there's just this notion that hitting or beating a child is the norm. Newsflash, it is not. For so long, we have underestimated the part that psychology plays in our upbringing and even the behaviors we exhibit today. But this is 2024, okay? We can no longer choose to be stuck in our way. I was watching a clip the other day where the lady was like, one of the major questions you need to ask someone you're dating is, what are the traumas in your life that I should know about? Because it is from those traumas that people actually act out when life begins to get real. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about hitting a child as child abuse. I posted this clip on Instagram. For the sake of those who don't follow me on that space, I'm going to leave it here. If you hit your child, you're physically abusing that child. There is something trending on TikTok. Because my community has, predominantly Africans, I think this is so important for me to talk about as a creator in this space and as a mom. There is this Nosana who is getting busted just because a child cowered when they brought a chocolate close to him. I always play with my kids, timber, like if I just for banter, and no matter how much I do that, they never like cover. So when I saw that video, I'm like, okay, maybe this is a great time to try this. So I went and I set up my tripod before dinner yesterday. I tried it with both of my kids. My son is even like, give me a hug. Like, they had no idea what that was. And my daughter, obviously, she was just, why are you doing that? What does that even mean? It didn't even occur to them as though this means that you're about to get your whooped. Like, and I totally love that for them. Now, luckily for me, I also didn't grow up in a physically abusive home. And that's, yes, if you hit your child, you're physically abusing that child. I don't care what anyone has to say. Call it discipline if you want. I'm standing on business psychologically to tell you you're physically abusing your child. Anyway, but what's such a common thing, like, I feel like my teacher hit me once and I had this mark on my neck. Like, it was just something that was so sewn into our brain to say, if somebody's coming, you have to fight for yourself. Listen, this is the whole point of all the things I've been saying since. As a parent, it is your job not just to nurture, but to protect your children. If your child cowers when you raise up your hand as their protector, it doesn't look good. And it's not just about looking good, it is just not good. This is not a judgment to anyone. For me, standing on business today is to tell you that please change. There's so many ways to discipline a child. Educate yourself. If I call my son now, he's only 3, and I say, hey, go face the wall, he's going to be like, I don't want to face the wall, I don't want to face the wall. Like, there's so many ways to discipline a child. Hitting a child might stop the behavior in that moment, but it has more long-term consequences than we're willing to admit. Don't be stuck in your way as a parent. And let's not, because of the culture we grew up in, stay stuck in that culture. Breaking generational curses also means that choosing to do better for the generations behind us. And as you can expect, there were a lot of opinions under the comments. Now, let me first say that when I posted that video, I actually knew I wasn't going to engage so much in the comments by way of banter. Obviously, light note energy, I'm all for that, but by way of like trying to force my opinions down people's throats, especially not a topic like that. Fundamentally, even if you're watching this video, it is your child. That is the destiny God has assigned to you. It is left for you to do the things you deem best and right for your children, right? And said all of that to say, I'm not a solution for nothing. I'm making this video to shed light based on people who have sincerely asked me in my DMs to say, okay, I am in the wrong, or I've acknowledged my wrong, which was so freeing to read. I think that was the essence of that video to me, to just say, just know it. It was absolutely not from a place of judgment. It was just, okay, maybe people don't know, just see it, just be aware, Anyway, for people who have reached out to me, I thought to do a sit-down video and just go over some of these things, reach on all the points of concerns that I got, and yeah, that's the essence of this video. Now, you see the woman in question who had used her child as an example. Even though people are roasting her on TikTok, honestly, I just see a woman who needs help, who probably doesn't even know what she's doing when it comes to parenting. Unfortunately, parenting is not like school where you have to do a test to pass it. All you have to do is just, be with a man and then you can become a parent. That's simple. So, like, will you be surprised? People who even study hard for exams fail it. Said that to say, sometimes being a parent just lands on people's laps. They have no qualification for it. They have no right to parent in the first place. And in times like this, you see it in terms of how open are you to learning something that is a long life, school, parenting, you have to, at least open your mind. Because I did that. I had to do that. So many things that I'm, practicing with my children now. It's not like it just fell on my lap, or it's because, oh yes, there's some part of it that I just, maybe because I'm an emotional person, I'm a loving person naturally. But my background also played a huge role, and there were some things I had to, start to quickly, by the help of the Holy Spirit, say, nope, that doesn't feel right to me. I can't find that in the Word of God. I don't want to be a part of that. And so, like I was saying, even that woman, there's absolutely no judgment. But I just hope that all of this will turn out for her good if she gets the help that she needs. There was this other video where she was saying, I don't buy $20 worth of clothes for myself. Why would I buy it for my child? You can see, and before I would choose somebody and use her as example in my own videos, best believe that, this is obvious. I mean, as a parent, I say here all the time, to swipe for my children is always pimping easier. But people will even make jokes and say, hey mom, your kids don't need another clothes, you need a new bra. I felt like that was bare minimum, but for her to utter those words out loud, then I know that fundamentally she has a problem, and I'm really praying that right now she can get all the help she needs, especially for the sake of that child. Now, that said, I want to talk about some things that really help in terms of raising up children. There was a comment that was common, and it was every child is different. I'm going to touch on that because thankfully, to the glory of God, I have 2 children, and I can see that that is my reality. 2 of my kids are totally different from each other. Heck, even twins are different, right? And I know that, but by the grace of God, in this almost 6 years of parenting, I've been able to utilize tools and see some things that work for me. Before you run ahead and say, okay, yes, tell me those things, I'm eager, I'm going to learn it, I'm going to change. Listen, I'll talk to you as a parent first. We are a combination of things that we've gone through. No matter how much of these things that I say, or that or the ways you should do this and that, sometimes your wounds are so deep that they will still exhibit even in the face of pain, or in the face of trauma, or in the face of stress. Those wounds that you went through, those things that you experienced, those things that have been normalized and ingrained in you that feel normal, in the face of any little stress, or even just in the face of, oh, this is what I'm used to, just by reflex, you might still end up acting like so. So this is my call to you as a parent. Please, I don't. If you need to consider therapy, then this is the call. Like I said, there are so many psychological issues that people are going around with that is then affecting their marriages, their parenting, their finances. And if only they had someone to talk to and just realize that, oh, this is actually what is wrong here, and be able to connect the dots, then I tell you, things will be way better, and you'll be able to approach my strategies from a better point of view. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much to BetterHelp for being the paid partner of this video. BetterHelp is an online therapy service which gives you access to a wide range of expertise. With BetterHelp, you're connected to a credentialized therapist who is able to listen and give you unbiased and helpful advice regarding anything you might be going through. Yes, it doesn't have to be parenting advice alone. If you just feel like you went through a trauma, or there is something that it's been difficult for you to digest or process, or maybe you're currently going through a hard time in your finances, in your relationship, or in your marriage, then BetterHelp is here to help you. If you like to explore it, then all you have to do is go to their website, answer a series of questions. I'm going to put the link in the description box below, or you can just use my personalized link, betterhelp.com/Tolulokpe. Or you can also search my name during sign up to Tolulokpe Solutions. You answer a series of questions, and in less than 48 hours, usually BetterHelp will connect you to a therapist who matches your preferences. You can go ahead to choose if you want a Christian therapist, a male therapist, and all those good stuff. It is convenient to use. Why? Because you can, from the comfort of your home, speak to your therapist either by means of video call, phone call, or messaging. So again, check out my description box, or visit betterhelp.com/Tolulokpe. And if you use that link or search Tolulokpe Solutions during sign up, you actually get a special discount off your first month with BetterHelp. Now, having said that, there are some tools that you still need as a parent, even if now you're in therapy, you understand that, okay, because majorly is that understanding, right? But obviously, once you come to the realization that you need the help and you get the help, or maybe you just feel like, okay, I see it, let me explore something else that will not traumatize my children, or that maybe it's just simply a better option, then hear me. I put it on my stories yesterday. When I was pregnant, I downloaded an app, 2 apps actually, in pregnancy. I'd not been pregnant before. Well, I was pregnant, it was a miscarriage. That's how they're funny. But it was my first time, trying to have a baby. What did I do? I looked for accounts on Instagram that matched what I wanted and what I wanted to see, and I looked for apps that will help me in my process. Thankfully, I found 2 apps. I've actually worked with one of them last year, so again, follow me on Instagram. But a simple Google of what apps can help with pregnancy or what app can help with baby development will get you some, I promise you. Now, saying that means that I had to help myself with knowledge and resources. I went out there searching, how can I learn? How can I do better? So I got those apps, and guess what? My son turned 3 recently. I still have those apps every time, every month. They're sending me, you're 36 months today, you're for the. Guess what? The best part of that is that I am able to look at the things that when I was growing up was a norm, or like, oh, don't do this, is because you're a stubborn child, and they will tag you stubborn and tag you emotional, things like that. I could see that this was a psychological thing for a child. So I'm not caught by surprise. I don't feel like, oh, my child is acting out of character. Listen, let me say here, if you see somebody whose child is crying or screaming outside, please stop giving them the stares. Like, I'm that person that if you're looking at me, I will now leave that child to be crying very well. Maybe on the plane or outside in the shopping mall. Like, what else do children do? Children cry. And it's just obviously, if I have ways to console my child, I will. So someone is not taking that out of order. Obviously, I don't want my child to cry just because I want to get at you. I feel like everything you say now on this internet, you have to back it up. But just to say that, like, that person that I would probably even offer, do you need help, or are you okay, or try to even say, hey, are you okay, see what I can do with the child. But I also know that some people will give you the looks as if what's wrong with you, or you can't control your child. No, children are not made to be controlled. I'm going to put a reel of this on Instagram as well, but I'd seen a mom complain that a child is always like agitated when he's doing mathematics, and so the other day too, like, he will be tearing his books, he will be hitting his head on the table and stuff like that. So she was also frustrated while trying to help him, and then she stood up, not realizing that there was a wall behind her, and then she hit her head on the wall. So she had come out on Instagram with a very big bump on her face, and the comment section honestly was just, it was failing woefully the vibe check, because people were trying to say, no, your child must have hit you, that wall must be very strong in the area. But it was a comment I saw that just got me laughing. I'm just like, at the end of the day, this is your child. The person was like, you should try hitting him. That's how I tame these 3 that I have. Like, how do you use tame in the same word as children? Are we talking about bears and gorillas and chimpanzees and lions? Like, anyway, I lost my train of thought even. But fundamentally, it's like, educate yourself. What should be your response? I understand the dynamic of my child. I understand that if they're doing this, it's not like they're out of order. Because another thing too that make, okay, yeah, that's what I was saying. Now, another thing too that make people really, uncomfortable or resort to slapping, hitting, trust me, is not hard parenting. It's the easiest form of parenting you can have. Easiest. Because why? That child will shut up in the moment. If you're outside, obviously you can't do it outside, but let's say you want that child to behave right now, maybe you want to sleep. If I slap you, or if you end up slapping the child will behave, compose. So like I said on that video, it solves the problem in the now. Just in the now, that's it. Guess what? It doesn't even correct behavior. I hope you know it doesn't correct behavior. What you're doing is that child is going to be more stone-hearted. Even you as an adult, think about it yourself. And this is one hack that the Holy Spirit gave to me when I started to reach out and do resources like this, is that put yourself in the position of your children. Like, look at your children as people, as their own persons. I can tell you for free, it changed the dynamic. See them as a spiritual being, an emotional being, their own physical being, as their own people. It will change and transform. So now I've said 2 points, don't miss it. I've said 2 points already. Harmonize yourself. Is it harmonize? Harmonize, whatever. Guard yourself with resources. Number 2, see your children as their own people. They have feelings, and I think that is one of the most beautiful things you can do to any gender at all. There was something I used to say to my child, oh, I'm here if you need a hug. It's okay to cry, I'm here if you need a hug. And at first I'm like, if I'm crying, don't be going to your room, Now that she's getting older, obviously, and this thing too is age appropriate. Now that she's getting older, I have other means to say, please, can you not shout right here? If you think you need to shout, you can step aside so that your cry is not too much noise pollution. But obviously, I should still, I'm like, I've corrected you for that mistake, or I say, no, we're not getting pizza tonight, we're eating jollof rice, and you're crying. I would validate your feeling to say, I'm here if you need a hug. I still do it now, but obviously, now that she's 5, my daughter, when she's crying for some petty things, I'm able to say, that's your business, but excuse me, don't, like. So again, these things are age appropriate things that come with, understanding of your child's level and their psychology, because based on the resources, I know that a 5-year-old should be able to practice breathing exercises. You should be able to calm yourself down, regulate your own nervous system a tiny bit. Not quite there. Guess what? Brains get developed at I think 20 something, fully developed for girls, and for boys I think later 20s or something like that. But as adults, we expect children to regulate their own emotions. We expect children to know their left from their right. We expect them that once we tell them one thing, they should never make that mistake again. These are things, standards that even adults cannot even uphold. Like I'm telling, grown adults cannot even uphold it. Now, my friend, we always tell our kids, actions have consequences. Actions have consequences. If you do that, I'm going to take away your privileges. I'm going to take away this. You're going to... But guess what? We even have adults, people in their right own faculties, that understand that actions have consequences, but will still go and do those actions. So imagine a child whose brain is still developing. You see the advantage of seeing your child at where they are. Be where your feet is. Like, and I'm saying this not because I landed there. Like, for example, I never wanted to say this on camera actually for some reasons, but I struggled with some things personally as a mom. And I had to partner with the Holy Spirit to say, you have to help me out here. You have to help me out here. I shared it with my mentorship school the other day actually, but I don't want to put it in public space. You have to help me out here. And I can see how we're partnering together so that I'm not using my own bias to act out on my children. And this even has nothing to do with hitting, so don't bother figuring it out. I'm not using my own bias or the, self-struggles that I have to act out on my children, because that's another thing some people do. I mean, this video is all over the place, but I just pray that the Spirit of God will breathe on it and you can pick what applies to you. When I say that hitting is easy parenting, do you know how hard it is to suppress your own emotion just to make sure that you're seeing that child as who they are and you're correcting them for exactly what they've done? Have you seen parents blow things out of proportion for their children and you'll be wondering, was it more than wearing monkey legs? Well, we call it banana legs actually. When they wear the right feet on the left foot, we all did it as kids, right? But for example, maybe you've corrected that child and the child is not listening. I know that seems very small, and that's another thing I had to say in that video. Like, okay, you're perfect little spanks, you think they're okay, that's great for you, but remember that there are people. In fact, thank you, Holy Spirit. Go on TikTok and hashtag pink tote moment. Pink tote moment. You will be shocked at pink tote moment that people said from their childhood. It was basically a time in your childhood where you feel like your parent did something that was blown out of proportion. Because you can see that those parents obviously took out their own life's aggression on those children. And I'm talking extreme cases of abuse. I've heard extreme cases. People locking their children in the freezer. People stepping on their children. But guess what? For me personally, I like the I'm either here or there. I don't want to even experiment with little spank. I just don't want to go near because I'm a very black or white person. So that's why I would rather face this one I'm exploring on how to do it, because I don't want to find out what is on the end of the day and now lose my cool. Because my hand is so used to raising up for a little spank. Let it not turn to abara. If you don't know what abara means, it just means like a very hard slap on my children. So that said, pink toes moments. Honestly, I'm saying a lot of things. I'm very passionate about this topic. We expect children to act as adults when adults can't even fit in those shoes. And another thing I had written to back this up was that, you know how when a man puts his hand on a woman, it's taboo, obviously, like that, or vice versa. When a woman puts his hand on a man, it's taboo, it's vice versa. Why would you do that? It's abuse. They have a name for it. It's a big deal. But we think that putting our hands on kids is okay. Imagine if a man comes down to say, my wife doesn't hear word, that's why I have to beat her. How would that sound? So when people say, oh, my own child, that child is very stubborn, I know. Is that the only way? Is that the only way, really? Think about it. Does that even justify it? But again, my message is not to start antagonizing people who don't believe in this. So back to trying to help people who want to do better is that pouring your aggression on your children. I know things are very, hard. Everybody's on their hustle, on their grind, especially if you live in a community like mine where there's really no accessible help like we have in Nigeria. It's a lot. Before you work, before you do school pickup, run, cook. It is a lot. Even as a self-employed, I can tell you that sometimes I'm like, these hours are not enough. And at the same time, you're still doing the best for the children. It is intense. But you chose to be a parent. Those children didn't ask to be here. You chose it. You made the decision. You took the pleasure. You did everything to make sure. You probably even prayed. I mean, if you're like me, you prayed to be a parent. So now that the children are here, it is your responsibility. It's not their fault. So taking out your aggression on your children might look something like, you had a long day, you're tired, or maybe you had a fight with your spouse and you're on the edge. Listen, breathe. Oh, this works for me. It's not just children that need breathing exercises. Breathe. Breathing would de-escalate situations for you, and then when you get your cool back, you see that it was actually not that deep. But in the moment, if you want to act out right there, then you escalate the issues, and in retrospect you can be like, yeah, what the child even do? It wasn't even that deep. But that child has suffered the consequences. In that child's mind, it's like, how many of us carried our load and said, I don't think you're my mom? For me, it was because my mom used to give me chores that she wouldn't even give my auntie. I remember my mom hitting me once. I remember my dad hitting me once with a belt, but that was the only time. So I didn't grow up from a perpetually, whoop, whoop, whoop situation. Which is why, again, it's easier for me to do this because it's not what I got ingrained in. But I did have experiences with it. We would just cower for some reason, defending yourself as a child. No. So wrapping it up with exactly what I said in that video, it is your duty as a parent to protect those children. So imagine if they're cowering for you, you should be the one protecting them in the first place. So like I said, I'm going to be doing scenarios with my children here and there of, how I de-escalate situations or how I actually get them to listen. And at the end of the day, fundamentally, they're not robots, so they're still kids. Yes, my children cannot try nonsense. Even my 3-year-old right now. Listen, when people say children are different, this one, no, my son came in strong. He came in strong and he just turned 3. And I can see a huge difference without having to hit him. And you and your partner have to be on the same page on this. For people who are not single parents, you and your partner have to be on the same page. Because if one person believes in hitting and the other doesn't, go to therapy, go figure, go sort it out. Because if one person is beaten and the other person is not, it's even going to create more dysfunction in the family and for those children. So you have to be on the same page. I think I said maybe 4 or 5 points here now. My children understand season privileges. My daughter, as we speak, she's not getting iPad this weekend. They only watch cartoons on the weekend. And as hard as that would be for me, because then I can't chill, I have to still be playing with her. It's okay. I then will do the work. People who spank don't want to do the work. Let me just tell you. They don't want to do the work. That's why I'm saying hitting is the laziest thing ever. Right? Why? Because she did something yesterday that I told her not to do. So I told her, your consequence, you don't get iPad next week. And I also correct it. And then eventually she will get it by God's grace. Because we're praying. We stay praying. Okay? We stay praying. Secondly, timeout. Now, psychologically, I've read things about timeouts, which is why, again, learn. But for me, the effect of timeouts, because my timeout is where I can still see you, and then my timeouts are short. Do my children dislike it? Yes. But you still go timeout. Now, talking about pink toad moment, I was seeing people who said that their parents would keep malice with them for months in a row. And I'm talking teenagers, I'm just like, oh, that's bad. Like yesterday, even when my daughter did that thing I said she should not do, my reflex was to kind of just like, oh no, like just shut off emotions with her. But immediately I served that punishment, immediately back to normal. Life continues. Because also you don't want to push her away. I thank my mom because we're friends. Like, I love the way my parents parented me, still parenting me. But the way, I'm friends with my mom, I can tell her, I could have told her anything since I was a teenager without fear. That really helped my life. So, I did not now push my daughter away to say, no, or I already hate you. No. And that's how God parents us, right? Where we sin, God doesn't say, I hate you. He doesn't condemn us. He looks at the sin, I hate the sin, but I still love you. Right? So again, those are 2 types of consequences that I give time. And my son is only 3. He understands facing the world. I started this this year. So maybe 6 months ago, or maybe even 4 months ago, before I would just warn him, don't do that. Do not do that. And then a lot of talking. Listen, gentle parenting, the type I'm doing. I know people when they hear gentle parenting kind of think that, oh, you're leaving your children to spoil. Not around here. These ones, they know who's the boss. My daughter told my mom recently, my mom is the boss. Anything she wants me to eat, I will eat. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. Those are some of the ways that I just parent. But if you like this to be a more rounded conversation, you want me to come up with more, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye. Whenever your heart is broken,